Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Ju-87 B-2 sitting at 1.7 battle rating for the Germans. A fantastic, iconic German attacker that has a big reputation, especially built up in the early phases of the Second World War, where this thing was experienced as a true terror with the howling sirens going off as this thing made its attack run. They put fear in the hearts of their enemy. Of course, later in the war this thing went quickly obsolete and was of course easy pickings for Allied fighters later on in the war, but that's a different matter. In the beginning of the war this plane definitely earned its name. The maximum speed in this plane is 312 kilometers an hour without WEP at sea level and 334 with WEP. At 4500 meters it is 281 kilometers an hour without WEP and 291 with WEP, and finally at 6500 meters it is 235 kilometers an hour without WEP and 253 kilometers an hour with WEP. Definitely not a fast plane. The WEP is definitely functional for a plane this early, but the top speeds in this plane are slow and you are definitely not safe from anybody when it comes to speed, let's say. The top speed in a dive is quite alright with 647 kilometers an hour before the red lines and 695 before it rips apart. Now, is that the effective dive speed? Of course not. The control stiffening in this plane starts early with 350 when you really start to notice the compression, and at 450 kilometers an hour the control stiffening becomes so badly that you definitely cannot get the two guns on target anymore, and you also have to fear above 500 kilometers an hour for crashing into the ground. So be careful of that. Of course, in this plane you always have the air brake, which is quite efficient at braking speed from your plane and keeping you at a normal speed in a dive. So there is that, but other than that, be careful with your top speed in a dive, especially above 500 kilometers an hour with control stiffening and such. The stall speed in this plane is very nice with 100 kilometers an hour, which is excellent. Firepower in the plane is below average with two 7.92mm MG17 machine guns, 500 rounds per gun. I used universal. The plane also has one turret with a 7.92 MG15 machine gun with 900 rounds, and I used APT rounds for that. The plane also can be equipped with a 250 kilogram bomb, a 500 kilogram bomb, or a combination of one 250 and four 50 kilogram bombs. Those are the three bomb options on the plane, and they are effective as is. Together with the two forward facing machine guns you can wreak a lot of havoc on the enemy ground forces. You can take out one or several armored targets, and with the machine gun you can take out a lot of light targets, which is quite nice. Ammo load on the plane is no more than average though. Most enemy attackers and fighters have over 1000 rounds in machine guns. This one doesn't, so in the early ranges, so that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Acceleration in a straight line is no more than average, and in a dive it is actually good, which is quite nice. Energy retention in the horizontal is average to decent, and in the vertical it's bad. Vertical maneuvers in this plane are definitely a no-no and are a quick route to defeat when you face enemy fighters. But as you saw, you can definitely take out enemy fighters if you have to and if they bother you, like you saw in that first match where we got 3 kills in this thing. It is quite maneuverable for an attacker, let's say. Energy retention in the horizontal, like I said, is average to decent. So also in a straight line with a limited speed you have not good options to escape by holding your speed, let's say. Climb rate in the plane is very bad. There's really nothing to write home about. It's good that you start as a bomber with a bomber span, which is nice, but it feels more like an attacker, this plane, let's say. Turn time in the plane is below average, average with flaps. The flaps rip off at 500 kilometers an hour, which is a nice high speed for this plane, which cannot go that fast, let's say. So there is that. roll rate in the plane is below average, and the overall maneuverability with that is below average as well in total. Not a very maneuverable plane against fighters, let's say, but for a bomber this is definitely a maneuverable plane, and it can also compete with a lot of attackers, let's say. So yeah, but we look at it as in a general sense, and when you get attacked by fighters you have to be extremely careful. With the air brake and the flaps deployed you can definitely turn, but if you lose speed you are done again. So there is that. It is not a fighter, but in a pickle against pilots that are more inexperienced than you, you can get kills this plane and get a lot of results. There is that. Overheating in the plane is very bad with web, especially when you use it a lot. You overheat the plane very easily, and once you've overheated it with using web, then it's also difficult to run at 100% all the time. It doesn't cool off easily either, so the overheating in this plane, once you have it, is difficult to get rid of. So be aware of that and try to keep it cool before you get to the rest. Durability overall is decent. It can take a hit or two. It's a sturdy plane, and there is advantage in that, especially when you get jumped by a few fighters. In this match we had a totally different result. No enemy aircraft came in our neighborhood, and we just attacked ground targets with a result of 10 of them destroyed, which is quite nice. So it can do that. It can shoot at enemy planes. You can also intercept bombers with it and, you know, kill them. Even with these two guns, although it's touch and go. Sometimes you get these results, sometimes you just get 3 hits and that's it. So yeah, you have to be accurate with the guns, let's say. This plane overall is a very fun ground attacker, which can deviate into several of the other roles. And when you have the altitude, because you start as a bomber, as this is a dive bomber, you know, you have the option to dive on climbing enemy fighters who don't maneuver too rapidly, stall themselves out a little bit and hang before you like this. Of course, these are opportunities you should not let go. But you can also take a little bit too much risk in this plane, especially when we are doing that here, but this is the bomber version of the Potest, so only one machine gun. I had two. I thought let's take the chance and try to get my 3rd kill here. But with the damage models these days and the weapon damage that has been increased, it is not a good idea to take too much damage, as the flight models get impeded a lot. And here we do damage his engine, but unfortunately we get shot on fire, and I was a little bit too enthusiastic there, to be honest. That was not the way you should fly this plane head on these days, because even this plane with the decent durability cannot take that punishment. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. A fun plane, the Ju-87B-2. It has forward facing guns, offensive armament, which can be quite handy against bombers, against climbing targets. You get a bomber spawn in this plane, as it is a dive bomber and one of the more iconic ones from the Second World War. A joy to fly, very sturdy plane with options for several bomb loads and the offensive guns, which make it really fun. At its battle rating, up tiers are not so fun, but you know, up until 2.0 and below, this plane is a joy to fly and definitely worth your attention if you're spading or if you're going through the German 3. Anyway guys, a fun plane, and I'll definitely recommend you to at least visit it to get a taste for her. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.